I can take it. What's up, everyone? What's good? This is a convenience store podcast. This is Griffen speaking,
Hi.
and we got Daniel and Devin
Yes.
as well. That's Devin.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's both Devin. I don't know
Yeah,
where
we
Daniel
both-
is.
We both Devin.
But yeah, so that's that. It's a lot of like sort of weird like celebrity stuff going on. I feel that's like it, right? We kind of have like really abnormal like
Yeah.
popular celebrity gossip kind of.
Yeah, that's true. What do you? I guess we'll start with the Mia Khalifa thing.
Yeah, because we talked about that last time, so I guess that's technically most topical to our thing.
Yeah. So basically, what happened was, Bang Bros came out with like a statement or whatever, and they just called her a liar. Essentially, they were like, "You actually made $200,000 just from us, as opposed to the like 12,000 I think it was." She said she made total.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, as much as they're probably a terrible company, I trust them more on that because they have less legal like leeway.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, she also was doing it not for 3 months like she said, but for like over 2 years, which is just like, all right.
No,
I don't know.
Devin,
My
are you
opinion
eating
is
snacks or something?
My bad.
I can hear it really clearly. I'm not gonna lie. I continue, Daniel. Sorry.
hello. Okay. Yeah, but I don't know. Basically, if that's all true, then she's a liar and a scumbag, to be honest.
Yeah,
Kind
I know
of like,
she's like
an internalized misogynist or whatever.
yeah, and it's like you said, you know, it's not that we have a lot of respect for Bang Bros or something. It's just like, yeah, like you said, I don't think they really have that much leeway to just make something up.
Like, yeah, I mean, you know, when it's a person, they can maybe hope that the company won't sue them for false claims, but as a company, you can't just hope that a person won't sue you for, false claims. And it's like with something like that, legally, it would be really easy to settle. Like,
that's
Mia
true.
Khalifa, and Mia Khalifa has the money, like has a lot of money is a
Not
thing.
related. We just wanted to flex for her that she has a lot of money.
So no, it is related because like if she wanted to, she has the like, the money to, for something like that where it's simply a matter of like looking at contracts or something.
Yeah.
She could prove it.
Yeah, like that's the thing is again, I'm just I guess expressing agreement with you, but yeah, it's like it is literally a matter of contract. It like all they have to do is look at the legal documentation as to what she signed up for.
Yeah.
And like we had talked about before, you know, she could be pressured into that, which is totally wrong, really heinous. Like we do not like sympathize with the industry or something. Like it's really predatory and creepy, just all around disgusting. But still there is like a legal element to it. It's like if it's in the contract, that's as far as it goes. If she's just abiding by a contract and then saying that it's different, you know, it can be settled pretty quickly. It's like, no, it says right here that you signed for 2 years and you made hundreds of thousands of dollars, not 3 months and like a few thousand.
Or even like it'd be even more incriminating had it been like, it was probably multiple contracts or whatever. Like I don't think it was just one, like 2 and however many, like they're probably like, I don't know, a few month
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know how it works. I
Yeah,
guess,
I'm assuming it's
but like
either
you sign up for each video,
yeah.
or and you like have a manager do that, or you sign with contracts like, all right, this is how many videos you're gonna do.
Yeah, I would assume
Uh,
it's like a renewal, maybe. You know, like every
yeah,
couple months, it's like you can renew the original contract.
yeah, but regardless, it's all on paper,
Yeah.
which is the main point.
Hmm.
Like you can't really lie about that stuff.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like we said before, it's even more of like a applicable thing, like how she didn't really do anything productive with it. She just kind of
Hmm.
used it, for clout, and
Yeah.
then attacked a bunch of other people in the same line of work.
Hmm.
So I really have no sympathy for her at this point. Not
Yeah.
that she needs sympathy; she's doing extremely well,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I gotta feel like if she continued to do it for 2 years,
Hmm.
all of that mental baggage or whatever that she's basically talking about, which is why people are on her side, is probably not really anything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, obviously we don't know for sure, but like, is it's different between 3 months and 2 years. 2 years would be what, four? That would be 8 times as long as she's saying. Like it there. It's like if it's a thing she got pressured into that lasted a little while, I could see how that's really scarring. But I can't imagine, like how I had said before, like I just threw out as an example, they'd say you signed for 2 years for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, like I sort of meant as like a renewal or something. Like I can't imagine they would possibly be like, okay, we're giving you a one-time deal. We want you for 24 months and we'll give you 200 grand. Like that, I can't imagine anyone could do something that impressive where they're like, okay, down payment of $500,000.
Yeah. I don't know, man. And it's kind of irritating to see like again. I mean, it sounds weird because I'm a dude, but it's kind of irritating to see like this people like rallying around this as like an icon of feminism. Like even if it was all true,
Mm-hmm.
as we like saw before, it's not a very good example of like feminism and like feminist activism.
Yeah.
Like obviously it is kind of gender related because
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I think that stuff usually happens to women,
Yeah.
but like she didn't do it. She didn't push any positive message using
Mm-hmm.
like her chance to speak out, which not that she's necessarily obligated to do,
Yeah.
but instead of doing that, she just attacked people.
Yeah,
And
that's the thing. It's like, even if she was being entirely truthful and was trying to be, like progressive and stuff, it's still like obviously it wouldn't entirely destroy her cause or something. Like it would still be good, but like if she was entirely truthful and was trying to be like progressive about it but still continue to just call out these other people, like it does sort of hurt the idea of it a bit. It's like you're not trying to help anyone that's was in your footing, you're like insulting them.
yeah, and that's just like that's kind of it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Basically, my stance went from you know she's a victim, but also a shitty person to she's a shitty person, but not a victim.
Yeah. And again, you know, like I said, I really want to nail it into everyone's heads if there is anyone listening. Like, we're not sympathizing with the industry or something. It's more that the fact we don't sympathize with the industry hurts her, because clearly she did if she was there for 2 years. Like I said, honestly, like, I think I would be so shocked. Like, I might go into cardiac arrest or something if it was proven that they were like, okay, we want you so, like, again, before she had gotten big, like before her success in the industry, they were like,
Yeah.
we want you for 2 years and we'll give you $200,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, that was not even like she was working with the company that made the statement, right? It's not like she was working with them only exclusively. Apparently, she worked with 3 other companies.
Yeah.
So the idea that right, it would be even more than that, right? Like, that would mean, because it wasn't Bang Bros that had her signed for 2 years or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that would mean, on top of her giving her $200,000, which isn't that much for 2 years for someone of her success, but it would be a ton for someone
Yeah, like up
before.
front when they're not
Yeah.
even popular yet.
Like, but it would have to be a different company.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know. That's
Yeah.
it, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just, yeah, like, again, you know, we don't sympathize with the industry in any way. It's just that, like, there's no sort of logic to that. Like, again, I'm not gonna act like $200,000 makes her an indefendable person if she was telling the truth or something. It's like, if she was given that up front, and then she was like, okay, I never want to come back to this. It's not like you can live your entire life off of 200 grand in, like, modern day America. But
I mean,
again, it's like,
200
that's
grand.
like
Okay, it was like
up front, and she
180
wasn't.
more closely.
Mm-hmm.
So 90 grand a year isn't actually all that much. Like, it's
Well, that's what I'm
it's
saying.
enough.
Like, it's, I don't want to be like, you got 180 grand, that means you can't complain. Like, that's not the idea. Like, it's really not much money at all, like, in the grand scheme of things. But again, it's the idea that she literally wasn't popular yet, and it for 2 years too. Like, I would be so shocked, like I said, to hear that they just liked her so much. They were like, okay, we want you for 2 years. We'll give you 90 grand a year, just off the bat. Like, again, before she's successful, before she's popular, you know, they're like, 90 grand a year, 24 months. We desperately want to have you. We'll give you a bunch of money up front.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, that's so fantastical. There's no way. Especially, again, since the industry is so sketchy, they take advantage of people. They're not like, oh, you seem so sweet. You seem like such a nice person. Here's 100 grand.
Yeah. Devin, you're kind of quiet. Do you have anything to say? Devin.
Oh, is he muted because he was eating dinner?
Oh. Well, I guess maybe he'll be back.
Yeah, I guess so.
Whose mouse and keyboard is that? Is that you?
I am on my computer. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know
not
why
a
I
problem.
stretched out that sentence so much.
It's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's just I thought that was Devin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
So then,
yeah, I don't really know. There's not really any more elaboration. We do not side with, we do not sympathize with the industry. It's just that we don't sympathize with her either, since she's clearly a liar and is not productive or progressive in any way.
Yep.
Okay.
I guess next topic.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm back.
There's Devin. So I guess we got the birthday party. You know, everyone knows Kanye said he's running for president, obviously, but I guess it was all a bipolar episode, which is like, I mean, again, you know, I feel sort of guilty for people for making fun of someone for do something that was sort of out of their control when they have like a mental issue. But the thing is, like, he literally raps about how he doesn't like taking his meds. It's like, okay, hopefully he can learn from this that sometimes you should take your meds.
Yeah.
Like, everything that happened in the last week was just so ill-advised.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just so weird.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like I would assume anyone who's listening as a friend or somehow has like somehow stuck with us or something, like a random person that discovered us. I don't know if that's even possible, but essentially, you know, I'm saying anyone listening, they would either probably figure out from past episodes or know because they know me. I'm a big fan, but it's just like this was so ridiculous. This was not like, there's not really a defense for the stances he had on things, like being pro-life, and even if he was running as a super progressive candidate, this was just so ridiculous. Like, it was too late to join the ballot in New York and Texas, which are both some of the most populous states in the entire country. Like, I think they're literally both in the top 5 most populous states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so ill-advised. That was really weird. But
That
it
makes
was
it kind
pretty
of funnier that like Elon Musk joined and left the party.
Yeah, that was what was so crazy too. Like, it was a matter of like 2.5 days. Elon Musk he literally said, like, it's an exact quote. He responded to Kanye's tweet and he said, "You have my full support." And I think he even threw in like a couple of exclamation points or something. And it's just, I mean, exclamation marks or whatever, but like he was like enthusiastically on board. And you know, Kanye was like, Elon Musk is going to be the head of the space program and all this stuff, and then he pulled out after like 2 days. So one thing that was interesting though, again, this doesn't defend like making a pro-life statement or anything like that, and it was still really ill-advised. Just, you know, throwing this in for conversation. The little video that Kanye made talking about how easy it was to register to vote, I actually gained some knowledge from that. I didn't know. He said that in some states you can have a district level decision where if you're a convicted felon, you can actually request your voters' rights back and you can potentially have them granted. I mean, obviously, you know, America's messed up. Like, I'm sure it's way easier for a white person to do that than like a black person or something like that. Like, it's probably a really imperfect system, but still, I actually didn't know that. That was kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, that is cool. I would, yeah. I feel like I don't know.
Like, all right.
What was I gonna? I had something I was gonna say.
If anybody's listening
because I forgot.
like able to register to vote, I would highly encourage you do so, because not voting is like, yeah, we
have a lot of older listeners.
Very much.
Yeah. There's something we could talk about, is all those like posts being shared by people too young to vote that are like, make sure you don't vote for Trump, guys. That irritates me so much. Like, it's I can't stress enough that Kanye is clearly way too unstable to be president, even if he was progressive. And since he was running as conservative, like that's just way too much. Like I do not endorse him as a candidate in any way, shape, or form if he had actually unironically like run. But like again, insane, and also same for Trump. Like I'm entirely opposed to Trump. I'm entirely opposed to Kanye, and Trump more so. Like, I like Kanye as a musician, but he's just too crazy to be president. And Trump is just awful. I hope he rots in hell. But like, no, we're like in high school and people are sharing posts where it's like 60 reasons not to vote for Trump. And also we live in like a progressive kind of area. It's just a circle jerk. I was basically finished. I just, yeah, like again, I'm not trying to, like I'm not in favor of Trump in any way. Like I'm not trying to undermine all the terrible things he's done. It's just that all the terrible things he's done fit into the category of he does terrible things. Like literally the only two reasons you need to know that you shouldn't vote him into presidency is that he's a terrible person and he does terrible things. Like the post is just so extra about it, like 60 reasons. And again, it's getting shared entirely by like 16, 15, 14-year-old girls. It's like, how many votes are you impacting? They're not like changing anyone's mind. Like I really don't believe they have a bunch of Trumpers viewing their story, and if they do, that's super weird.
They probably
Like,
do, but it's all like 15-year-old boys.
yeah, that's true. So like again, they're not impacting the vote count. It's just like again, there's no argument in favor of Trump. I really hope that like he has an awful fate. You know, if you're religious, I hope he rots in hell. If not, I hope he somehow gets arrested and rots in a prison cell. Or both, you know. But like again, it's like,
Preferably both.
yeah, definitely both. But like again, it's like they're not changing the vote count. Like if any Trumpers viewing their story, like Daniel said, is probably like a 15-year-old boy, and like anyone that's not, which is most of those viewers, and also like they're too young to vote anyways. It's like again, they're sharing the right message, but it's not reaching the right people, and they're not like making an effort to do so. Like I said, it's just a circle jerk. It's like, oh yeah, here's another 47 reasons not to vote for Donald Trump, guys. Isn't this crazy? We can all come together and condemn a person.
I mean, and there's nothing wrong with like being into politics and not being able to vote, or even just sharing posts like that. You know, a lot of people will agree with.
Yeah, definitely.
But like when it's like this type of just reasons not to vote for said person, it's a little bit different. Where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
what is this information doing
Yeah.
for anyone?
Like that's the thing. You put it really well. Like obviously we're into politics and stuff, and I think it's important to be into politics, even if you can't vote and stuff like that. Like it's entirely important to at least have an understanding of what's going on beyond a surface level. Like it's really important to at least know the politics and stuff. But like seriously, again with Donald Trump, it's not that I'm defending Trump, it's that I have no defense for him. It's like you don't need to give me 60 reasons not to vote for him because I already know a million.
Yeah.
And I can't vote. It's just like and it's different if you're like 20. Okay, but like we're in high school again. It's just not changing anything. Like it's just like it's like sort of, and obviously most of the people that share posts like that also share posts that are talking about an important thing, but the people that share just like specifically posts that are stuff like 78 reasons not to vote for Trump, 30 reasons why Biden is better than Trump, is such fake activism. It's like
Yeah, and they don't
they're
post about other
unaware.
stuff.
Yeah, like again, if you just post that along with stuff, I don't care. But like when people just post that, it's such like fake caring and activism. Is like I'm too lazy to learn anything about what's happening in the world, but I've already had the information fed to me that Biden is better and Trump is awful. So here's more of me agreeing with the popular stance, in my community.
Yeah.
Guys, here's 60 reasons not to vote for Trump.
Yeah, and it's literally, the post is viral. It has hundreds of thousands of likes, and it's 60 reasons. Everybody already knows a million reasons not to vote for Trump. Like, someone just wasted their own time compiling 60 reasons. Like, again, I think if you're like 20 or something, it's good to share that post, but it should be like 5 really significant reasons not to vote for Trump, because I can't
Yeah, because
imagine
no
anyone.
one. I don't think anyone who supports Trump will see that post and then look at it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, if you're slightly siding with Trump, like if you're either a Trump supporter or can sympathize with Trump, why are you gonna read through 60 reasons why you shouldn't support him?
Like even just the people who like don't. They're like I see both sides, because they think that makes them like somehow better, right? Which is like let me be honest. If you believe in bipartisanship, shut up. Just shut up. Like there's no middle ground with like why would we want to reach a middle ground with people who who support racism and inequality,
Yeah.
like and that's coming. I mean, I'm even farther
You
left
need to
than
go
like
after Frank Ocean.
Democrat,
He
but
sees both sides like Chanel.
yeah, he's too bipartisan. But it's like uh like I'll get back to what I was saying, but
Mhm.
people who are like, oh yeah, bipartisanship are usually they don't know anything about politics, and they're like, nah, y'all are manipulated by the media, dog. You don't understand what they're doing to you. We just gotta love each other. And it's like, shut up,
Yeah,
guy.
that's the irony of it, is when people are like spread love and stuff. It's like,
I'm not gonna
if you
love someone
tell,
who spreads hate.
yeah, like they're spreading hate. Again, it's like, if you tell a Trump supporter you hate them because they support Trump, that's not gonna scare them away from Trump. That's gonna be like, okay, non-Trump supporters clearly are super aggressive and stuff. Like, I can understand, how you attack someone because of their political stance and don't try to give a reason why. That makes them feel really defensive, like, okay, these people are just biased against me, even though that's not true. But it's like, when they're like, spread love, man, it's like, it's a really significant amount of the like right wing, this extremes, where they spread hate. Like, you're not, why would you spread love to them when you need to give them a reason to spread love? Like, they're the ones that need to spread love. They're buying into hate groups and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's like, literally, it's straight up irony, because hate is in the name. Like, a lot of these people that you should quote unquote spread love to support a hate group. Like, it's just so dumb. And
mm-hmm.
it's just weird. Like, it's funny, the phrase "I see both sides" too, because it's like, again, with the
There's
extremes
not
of
two
race,
sides
of
to
like,
see.
yeah, and it's like with the extremes of like a lot of the, like, the extreme of the right wing is just straight up racism. It's like, you see both sides, so you're kind of racist. Is that
Yeah,
what you're telling me?
it's like we were joking about the other night. Like Yeah, I'm not racist personally, but I can
understand where
sympathize
they're
with them.
coming from.
I understand their cause.
Yeah. I
Me
see
myself,
both
I'm not a
sides.
racist, but
I can
I get
respect the
it. I get
grind.
it.
Yeah.
I
I
understand.
respect the
I think it's
hustle.
probably, there could be something there.
Yeah, it's just
But it's
weird.
But anyway, like I was saying, you know, even someone who's bipartisan like that, like they're gonna see that and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, it's just these crazy media manipulated liberal communists who they're just crazy, man. They don't see both sides, man.
They don't see
I'm
both
not
sides
checking
like
this propaganda.
Yeah.
I mean, it is technically propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Any like, and that's the other thing. Like, people are like get so obsessed with what's biased and what's not biased. The point of politics is bias. That's what politics is, and it's like the what matters isn't if an article is biased. What matters includes or presents data in a biased way. Like,
yeah.
like if you say, I don't have a statistic off of the top of my head that's
Mhm.
that's like, that I know is accurate and up to date. But
Yeah.
for example, if you say black people commit a disproportionate amount of crime compared to their population in the United States, that's a fact. But then if you say it's because they're genetically predisposed to being violent, or if you say it's because they face more socioeconomic challenges, those are both biased. One is a little bit more based in fact, and they're both biased, and one is clearly better than the other. Like, even though they're biased.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like
you have a biased opinion on politics. Of course, I have a biased opinion on politics. What other opinion is there to have? No opinion.
What's my political stance? No.
And nah. Hey, what do you think about politics and all that? Nah.
yeah,
No. Like,
not feeling that.
I can't sympathize. I can sympathize with racists. I can't sympathize with people who have biased political opinions.
Yeah, it's just so weird. Like anything, whether it is right or wrong. Like you said, like with that being an example, obviously, is like the socioeconomic issues are what caused that, and there's like nothing that makes a black person inferior or something. Like, that's just racist. But both things are, it is a bias because if you're not siding with black people, you would say in the contrary, like they're just not as good as us, and then it's like if you do side with them, which is right, but again, you're siding, like there's a bias. It's just that bias isn't inherently wrong.
Like, if you just have a neutral opinion on that fact, right? You that, like, having a neutral opinion plays into the racist's hands.
Yeah.
Because stuff is okay. Essentially, and I'm just gonna say this because it's true. I don't like, if you get offended by this, I'm sorry, but the more left-wing politics are, the more like deep and complicated their analysis of things is. The more right-wing, the more reactionary and like the surface level it is.
Yeah.
But being neutral is automatically right-wing because it's surface level.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on a neutral stance and someone tells you the fact that black people commit a disproportionate amount of crime, without any bias or resistance to hearing that, you would assume that that's because culturally, genetically, whatever, they just are more violent for no reason because you weren't provided with the reason. Now, if you take a non-neutral position, that's like, to the left, you would say, well, there's probably a reason for that. And you would be like, there's an explanation. And that goes against racism. But if you just like, I'm neutral, okay, I'll accept that because it's technically true. That you're perpetuating racism.
Yeah. Exactly. Very well put. It's just like if you're neutral about racism related issues, it's like you're siding with racism. You have to either be anti-racism or racism. I've just messed that up. I mean, you have to be either anti-racism or racist.
Bro, you're so racism.
But you're so racist.
No, but
yeah,
like the way I see it, you have a muffin, right? Racism is a muffin. Like, it literally is a muffin. If you have a muffin, you can eat the muffin, and you can have a little bit left of the muffin. You can have varying levels of the muffin.
Yeah.
But but for the muffin to be gone, you can't have varying levels of it being gone.
Yeah.
And I didn't even need to use the muffin as an analogy. You can have varying levels of having something, but you can't have varying levels of not having something. So if you choose a neutral position, you are opposing getting rid of racism or any inequality or whatever.
Yeah, that was a really good way to put it. Like, yeah, just how you can have a varying amount of something, but not a varying amount of not having that something.
You can't have a varying amount of nothing.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like that's the most like clear cut, non-specific, like to the issue way to put it is that like it's just dumb. You can't be neutral on a race issue as in terms of like this is racist, non-racist. Like there are ways of going about solving like socioeconomic problems and stuff where you can be like, I'm kind of mixed about this approach. Like you can be neutral about a lot of things, but you can't be neutral about like whether a group is racist or something like that. It's like either you're whether you're slightly racist or very racist, like Daniel said,
or just neutral on it.
Yeah, you can't have varying amounts of nothing. So it's like no matter how racist it is, either it's at least a little racist or it's not racist. There's not an in-between.
The only valid position to have on racism is to be actively against it.
Yeah.
And making sure you never,
I feel like
making sure you're always aware of it.
It's weird though, because people will never admit that they're racist. People will never be like, I am racist and I'm proud.
That's even more why it's not okay to be neutral on it, because a lot of times people who are quote unquote neutral, like people who are neutral who are like, I don't know if I support Black Lives Matter. That's usually not a matter of I'm just neutral and I don't care about the subject. That's usually a matter of I don't really like Black Lives Matter, but I don't want people to think I'm racist, so I'm not gonna like I'm racist, so I don't support Black Lives Matter, but I also don't want to be called a racist, so I'm not gonna voice my opinions on any topic.
It's funny how
relating to racism,
a group that has a catchphrase of facts don't care about your feelings is so very reactionary and not based in fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most people who say that like unironically are pretty stupid.
Do we want to transition topics? We should probably talk.
Yeah, I think we could.
Yeah.
because it just came out.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can talk about that, and then we can talk about Ghislaine Maxwell or whatever.
Oh yeah. Yeah, maybe we should go into Legends Never Die just to have a little break from the social statements.
Who wanted to go first on their thoughts of this album?
I think I'm gonna let y'all take most of this because
Did you even listen?
I've never been a big Juice WRLD guy. For anyone listening, that if someone listening and doesn't know, I've never been a Juice WRLD guy. I just can't get into him. I think he was a great guy. Like I'm not even saying that to compensate or something. I genuinely do think he was a great guy. But I just can't get into his music, and I listened to the album, and I didn't like it. So I think I'm gonna let you guys take this one because I don't want to be a downer about it because this is a big thing.
Yeah. I definitely when I listened to it, I was like, I like this, but anyone who doesn't like what Juice WRLD has already put out is not gonna like this because it's not
Mm-hmm.
it's not any different. It was definitely not any better, except for maybe it's a little bit more it might be a little bit more hit potential, which I think in my opinion I felt like a lot of the songs were just kind of aiming to be hits or whatever, which it's whatever. I don't necessarily think that's too great of an injustice against Juice WRLD or whatever. It's just that's the way. Yeah, but that's just the way it is. But I liked it. I liked pretty much the whole album. I just thought it was decent if you like his music. But it was a little bit different. I think it's definitely less dark than some of his other music, specifically Death Race for Love. Like this one, even just the production was a lot lighter, and Marshmello produced 2 of the songs, so obviously that's not gonna be dark and depressing. But yeah, I would say it's definitely not better than Death Race for Love or Goodbye and Good Riddance by any means. But it was good. And then I think I don't know. Another thing is I actually do think they because some of the songs were leaks before, because obviously he's not making new music, so they can't just scrap everything that gets leaked. But some of the leaks of the songs were a little bit less mainstream in their leaked form as opposed to on the album, so that just kind of goes to show my point. Then I don't know, I thought it was good.
I did a live reaction thing, put it on, and I was reacting to chat, so I watched it back and I was like, oh, this doesn't really make much sense out of context. But it was starting out the intro was, I mean, you could tell it was a posthumous album. It didn't make it. It wasn't subtle about it being a posthumous album. But then it went into the conversations, the first non-intro song, and it was completely different than its normal style, which I'm not mad about. It sounded a lot like Eternal Take beat, but in my opinion at least. But I liked it. Yeah, I liked the song.
I know you're talking
and then
about.
A lot of the songs reminded me of Goodbye and Good Riddance, just the way he I guess interacted with the beat, and also the beats kind of some of them reminded me of Goodbye and Good Riddance, but then there was also elements of, I could pick out elements of Death Race for Love, and then some of the songs were just completely different than anything he's put out before, especially the Marshmello, which were I'm seeing, and the one with Polo G, I really like.
Yeah,
That one. Yeah.
yeah. They were all catchy and stuff. Like they all definitely served
Yeah.
as their purpose as like being,
Yeah.
replayable and like I don't know, music people play with other people.
And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
forgetting the name of the song. But the like second to last. Oh, it's my bad. Hold on. Yeah, Man of the Year. That was a bit different. Yeah, I like
Yeah, I
all
like
the
it though.
songs. Up and Away at the beginning was a bit different, but I really like the mood of that track. That was, I mean, I don't know. It wasn't really like incredibly unique, but I don't know. It was interesting to me.
I think it's like if you like Juice World, and I mean, you'll
Yeah.
like the album. I definitely don't think it will convert anybody. I'll say from like I don't know if we're talking about how artistic it is or whatever. Like I think like okay, I could definitely. I don't think I would argue necessarily that Death Race for Love was a better album than Goodbye and Good Riddance, because like Death Race for Love was a little bit all over the place. Like I don't know, just the way it was structured. There was like a little bit. There's a lot of variety, but it didn't necessarily play that well into the album.
Mm-hmm.
But like I personally have like a kind of a fondness to it or whatever, because like it's I'm not that Goodbye and Good Riddance was a lighthearted album or whatever, but it wasn't I don't think like I think you could I don't know I was just like when I listened to Death Race for Love in like summer 2019 or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I was down bad, man. I was struggling for real, and like I just enjoyed the kind of dark feel of it, and I don't think
Mm-hmm.
again I'm not saying like I don't really think it was like all that dark really. Like there's definitely darker music,
Yeah.
but it's definitely darker than this,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I definitely think I'm saying I definitely think a lot, but for Juice World, his appeal is like
Mm-hmm.
dark, kind of at least dark-ish, emo,
Yeah.
hip hop,
Yeah.
and this was not really that
Yeah. Yeah.
completely. So I would definitely say this is not like at all his best or really on the same level as his other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think it's worth listening to, and I still put it on my playlist because I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I guess my one input to be sort of the downer. I'm gonna not say anymore because I actually did think it was fun. I don't have a problem with the album. Like again, I've been pretty critical of Juice. I don't like I'm not really into him, but like the album was really fun. Like I enjoyed a lot of the songs and there's nothing offensive about it. Like there's no reason to be actively opposed to it or anything. Like it's definitely at the very least a decent album, but the second song with Marshmello, what was it? Come and Go. That the guitar riff was just too cheesy. I feel like that did not do Juice justice. And I'm kind of mixed on Man of the Year. I feel like it gets a pass, but it's pretty half baked indie kind of stuff. Like those were the two tracks where it's like really kind of like sort of more guitar oriented,
Mhm.
almost not as much trap, but like, the one with Marshmello being
Yeah, I know what
pretty
you're
much
talking
like
about.
punk, and the Man of the Year being like indie oriented. It's like I feel like those really didn't do him justice. Like they were just really kind of half baked and cheesy. But that's really my only like truly negative thoughts on it.
Yeah, I don't mind those two just because like I like the way Juice World sounds on that kind of you know like that kind of music. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good sound for him because it's just kind of cool to like I don't know. It's a little bit out of the ordinary, but I just like the way it sounds. But
Mm-hmm.
they definitely were very well executed.
Yeah.
Like I would not I mean again that was like my main problem with it was I think not and I liked it but and I get it's the goal is to cash out as much as possible on this last album or whatever. But my issue was just like you could tell it was just trying to be you know a lot of it was a little bit I mean definitely the Marshmallow thing was a little bit cheesy and then a lot of it was just
Mm-hmm.
it was fun but I don't think that's
Yeah.
what it would have I don't think it would have been like as fun of an album or as fun sounding of an album if it was like made while he was alive.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that's one thing I want to say where it's not a criticism of Juice World, and it doesn't like make the album terrible, but it is a little bit offensive to think like, again, this isn't a criticism of Juice World's music or anything like that, it's entirely out of his control. But how you said, they kind of want to cash out for his last album. That would make sense if this was the last one, but apparently they said there might be multiple more albums. So that is a little bit offensive where it's like they're
Oh
not really
yeah.
cashing out for the final
Yeah.
thing. They're kind of
I
just
mean,
cashing out, period.
Yeah, I definitely think out of Pop Smoke had a better. That was a little bit different because he had it already basically before he
Yeah.
died.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely they did him more justice on that than they did Juice WRLD justice, and it's like it is a little bit like I can ignore it, but it is a little bit disappointing. Like that it wasn't as dark, and even some of the songs like you know Juice WRLD like his lyricism is pretty standard, like and
Mm-hmm.
formulaic. I would say, not to say I don't know. I just don't think you can claim that he has like very intricate and groundbreaking lyrics. Like he's like it's just standard stuff
Yeah.
for that type of music. The main appeal is really his voice and the production,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's like which is why I would expect a more uh, like dark album, and when you're listening to the lyrics, you can kind of tell it kind of clashes with the production sometimes. Because I would
Mm-hmm.
say every song on there, the production wise, sounds fun. Like if you just listen to the beat, it's like, oh, this is fun,
Mm-hmm.
lighthearted music. But then not, and again, I don't really think it's like anything deep or like in like super intricate themes, but it does. He is like rapping / singing about a lot of dark stuff that doesn't really match so well.
Yeah.
And I'm just I'm giving all. This is making it sound like I didn't like the album, but it's just easier to talk about what you didn't like than what you
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
like. Specifically with the album that's just good
yeah.
at
I mean,
best.
I feel like
Yeah.
to me it feels less personal than his past. I mean, obviously because he's not around to
Mm-hmm.
make it more personal. And by nature, having your
Mm-hmm.
your team handle that is going to make the music sound less personal. But I mean, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. It feels like they let the production team just take the reins and just like just polish it. When a lot of Juice's music,
Yeah.
the appeal comes from the fact that it's
Yeah.
personal and it's him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
like
did feel like it should have been a little bit more grungy. Like I know that this sounds like I'm being super pretentious to say it should have been less done, but like truthfully, I think especially with his absolute biggest hits, you have stuff like the really overblown 808s and stuff. Like the production was so polished and shiny, which again, that's not inherently a bad thing. That was one of my favorite things about Pop Smoke's album, was how everything was so like overproduced and shiny, like it's really polished and stuff. But like that's Pop Smoke. It's not necessarily the same for Juice World, where obviously it's not like he's doing like really pretentious indie stuff where it's like purposely recorded on a terrible microphone or something like that. Like that's not what I'm saying, but it's just like it should have been a little bit more grungy, kind of like you said, it should have been a little bit darker and stuff. Like it's just it's a little bit too kind of radio friendly. Like again, not offensively radio friendly or anything, but I feel like in comparison, there is a little bit of a measurable difference.
and like like I said, if you listen to just the beats on Death Race for Love versus this, it's like so much darker, and even the guitar, like the guitar in was it, I think it's like Desire, is like about the opposite of any of the guitar sounds you'll find on Legends Never Die.
Yeah.
Like it's I'm not saying it's like it's a masterful, sorrowful, it'll just bring the tears out of your eyes, but it's not it's not at all the same like vibe, and even lyricism wise, I think they chose a little bit more of like there's kind of two different main sounds that Juice WRLD has, and then like a half of a third one.
Yeah.
But like the main one is that kind of sad like singy rap, and then the other one is like when he's doing stuff with features on it, where it's kind of more like upbeat, and it's like hits and stuff like on Bandit or all that stuff, and they definitely put in more of that than anything else. And the third half big one, which I don't think there was any of really, except for maybe on Tell Me You Love Me a tiny bit. It's just like the like bare bones rapping stuff, like kind of like on 10 feet or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think there's like 10 seconds maybe that you could consider of that on Tell Me You Love Me, but like it just seems like they were trying to make hits, and it's not offensively bad, and it's not offensively obvious and apparent while you're listening to it, and it's still enjoyable if you like Juice WRLD, but it is a little bit disappointing.
I mean, he also has, like for Out My Way, and also I feel like Conversations a little bit. That's like more of like a hype, like bars type style, but that's not really, he doesn't do that often.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just a couple songs, right?
But yeah, it's just like again, it's not a criticism of Juice WRLD in any way, because it's literally not him. It's entirely out of his control. But I don't know. I feel like if this was it, like they had just released this album, and then they were like, okay, there's more coming, then it is fine. It's whatever from a a moral perspective. But the fact they released that statement that during the listening session of this album they were all in tears really irks me, because like you had said, you can sort of hear how they cashed out a little bit. Like again, the album isn't offensively mainstream or something. It's not like entirely a cop out by any means. But the fact that they did sort of cash out and then they made a statement like, we were all brought to tears when we had to hear this. It's like, I don't think you were. I think you were probably pretty
Yeah.
satisfied with the
I
bag,
mean,
to be honest.
there could be. I mean, you could
Mhm.
say that they knew him personally, so he was like, uh,
Well, like that's the emotion to it, but then it's just it irks me how they sort of cashed out of it, and there's more posthumous albums on the way. You know, it's not even like they did a big cash out for the final thing. You know, like they're sort of cashing out a little bit on this, and there's still more to come. Like I totally understand. You know, I don't want to be insensitive. I completely understand how it would bring them to tears because that would really hurt. You know, to lose someone who's close to you and such a kind person and had such a big presence in the scene. Like I totally understand how it would bring them to tears, but then it sort of irks me how, you know, they had sort of cashed out with this and there's still more to come. You know, it's like did this really bring you to tears? It's
Yeah.
like it just sort of seems
I
like
feel
they're
like
kind
okay.
of
So
lying about it.
the rumor was, and I'm pretty sure it's true. But Juice has some like 2,000 unreleased songs, which sounds like a lot until you remember that in a session he made like 3 or 4. Uh, like, and he was at he grinded uh like constantly at the studio. I don't know if it's completely like accurate the numbers
Mm-hmm.
specifically, but the sentiment that he has a lot of unreleased music is I'm sure it's true. Um, so I
Mm-hmm.
want
Definitely.
more, but I don't want it to be. I don't want them to milk it, and there's a fine line. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know how to navigate
I'm
And
just
that,
that's
kind
the
of
other
sad
thing
that I.
too is like
but
sorry.
I don't know. I want more music, but I don't want them to
Yeah,
be
and
insensitive about it.
yeah, and that's the other thing too is that it's like you know, uh, like you have to narrow it down a bit too. You know, the thing with the posthumous thing is it's like they could, you know, I say they rounded it up a little bit and he has 1900 songs. They could release 1900 songs if they want to, but the thing is that like and there's not a problem with that inherently because it's like if he has the work, you're just giving
Yeah,
fans the person they're a fan of. But the thing is that when you have 1900 songs that is totally not in any way saying you have
yeah,
1900 good
Yeah.
songs.
I mean, although to be honest, I feel like there's not gonna be. Let's say they release them all. I feel like it'd be a relatively low percentage, at least,
Mhm.
that are offensively bad. Like I
Yeah.
think Juice World, if especially like this, posthumous type of music where it's not really, you know, as it's not quite as genuine. The production's not as grungy.
I
I don't
dig some.
think I don't think it's really possible for that much of his music to be offensively bad. Cause,
Yeah, that's
cause
true.
like specifically how he's really good at carrying a freestyle. So at worst, like it'll probably just be very mediocre because it's still gonna probably be like I think you could take unless he very obviously messed up. You could probably
Mhm.
take anything Juice WRLD has ever recorded and produce it to sound good without too much trouble, you know. And
Yeah.
but I'm just a little bit like disappointed that it's pretty obvious from this we won't get any more like dark kind of grungy albums like Death Race for Love.
Yeah.
Like there's not going to be any more of that type of thing, which was like like I said, I enjoyed this album, but I enjoyed more and it's just like I'm not gonna feel anything listening to this like I'm not gonna be compelled to buy this music while listening to it at like 2 in the morning. I might be compelled by the fact that, like, you know, it's sad that he died, but that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was a good point. I forgot that he's like really like creepily good at just keeping a freestyle going. Like I can't imagine he has any god awful bars in any of the unfinished things and stuff. But it's just like when I say, and obviously, I'm not saying that you said otherwise, but I just sort of saying it to say it. It's like when I say, yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean you have 1900 good songs. It's just like, I like you said, I feel like probably not an insult to Juice World in any way, but just the reality of music. Like it goes for anyone. I'm a big Kanye guy. It's the same for Kanye. Half the things you make are either gonna be not amazing or need a lot of work. It's like you can only do so much, and I'm assuming that he sort of left the studio at least somewhat satisfied, so it's probably fairly polished and stuff where the beat is at least somewhat fleshed out and he actually drops some nice bars and stuff. But I just feel like we would start to get a really high density of, again, like not bad and definitely not offensively bad, but just like a really high density of like average stuff. And then it's like also it might start to get it might start to go too far. Like if they wanted to release all of that, like I think it would start to get like obnoxiously over polished. If they started taking things where it's like not even a finished beat, and he's sort of like just kind of like just riffing off some like halfway bars on it. It's like nobody really wants to hear that. You can maybe make a big volume of sort of like what they've done for some artists, just a big volume that's like unfinished works and all the tracks are untitled and they're like not totally mastered and stuff like that.
Like I wouldn't mind that at all, but it's just if they're gonna do albums with all of the songs, I think that's gonna suck.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind if they just put them out as unfinished works and like because then I would just pick a few that I like or whatever. I think that would make everyone the most happy. I wouldn't be opposed if they did, like with that many songs, they could definitely do 2 or 3, like 2 more albums that aren't super overdone, like to the point where nobody wants to listen to them.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, and I'll probably listen to them, but if they do, but like I don't know, because I don't think I'm the only one who's disappointed that like there's not going to be any more of that kind of grungier, darker music from him. So it would just, like you said, if it's too polished and all that, people aren't going to want to listen to it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't happy with Wishing Well because that was a leak and they they polished it up, which people weren't a fan of.
Yeah. Yeah, I really just hope because, again, I've definitely been really critical of him, but, like not as a person. Like, I think he was a great dude and I really respect his freestyle abilities and his ambition. Like I totally respect him as a person and his artistic ambitions. So I really, really, really hope, that they'll take the constructive criticism of this album and apply it, because like you said, there's definitely enough material for at least a couple more albums that aren't just super overdone. So I hope for the next ones coming they sort of take things into consideration that like sort of like what they did with Pop Smoke's album cover. They were like, Pop Smoke would listen to his fans. Like the same thing with that, it's like if there's a change people want and that's extremely feasible, you might as well do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not really.
Devin, you have any final thoughts? And I think we should probably wrap up.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Oh, just speaking of Pop Smoke, that complex shoe shopping thing is so funny.
Yeah.
Like,
You look so
what are you
shy,
doing,
dude.
guy?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, and another thing in the vein of Pop Smoke, not like a conversation because I think it's clear, we're good on this, but just to say that it's cool. Pop Smoke's album sold like 250K first week, and it was originally expected to move like 180, so that was cool.
Yeah, that's great. But yeah, I think that wraps it up for now. And
Goodbye.
goodbye.
Yeah. Peace.
Goodbye.